This is the Projekt Gemineye Update, your source for all things Projekt Gemineye. Brought to you by Graphical Records. And here's your host, Mark Anthony K. Greetings, friends, and welcome to episode 126 of the Projekt Gemineye Update. So, a couple of things to talk about today. First of all, thank you very much for all your support on the CD pre-order. The pre-order is now done, but it's still going very well. People have been continuing to buy stuff, not only the new CD, but the back catalog has been going very, very well. Just a quick note about that. All the CDs from the other records are all at $5 right now. If you're going to buy a CD copy of any of the past albums, that's at $5. All the vinyl for the past records, except for An Ordinary Day, which is sold out, and Brand New Day has only 3 copies left, but a Brand New Day right now is at $18. I dropped it down to 18 in hopes that people will, 3 people will just finish up the pressing of this album. All the other records are at $20. I put them all to $20, because I'm in a good mood, to be quite honest, because everything's been going very well. The pre-order has gone excellent. There's so many people to thank about that. All the people like Look It's Rock and Roll podcast, the Progressive Palaver, also newly put up the Potter Than Hell interview is up now, and that's doing very well as well. Also, as of today, a review has been put up for the single for Sacred Sons. That's on the somethingelse.com site. I'll put the link up, or the address up here. You can go check it out there. Very favorable review for the single. From what I understand, they are putting up a review of the full album next, and an interview that they did with me, a sort of a text one that's going to be on their website for you guys to read as well. Of course, I'm looking at my notes just to make sure I don't forget anything. Yes, also another thing, the Lathe Cut albums this week, keeping my fingers crossed. They were saying that it should have been maybe the Friday that just passed. They were hoping to have it done, but no good. They were still feverishly trying to get it done. Hopefully this week will be the week that it'll be completed. And hopefully the album sleeves and all that will be done as well, because they're not done yet as well. But patience, my friends, it will be worth it. Trust me. Also, one other thing before we go to the next segment, which is there is a contest coming up. I think I'll do it next week. Like I said before, this might be a contest that will interest some people very much, and some people it may not. And you'll understand why when I announce it next week. Okay, so without any further delay, let's go to this week's segment of the Mixing a Song segment. And this week we're taking a look at guitar solos. So let's cut over to that right now. Graphical Records presents The Making of Projekt Gemineye 4, From Creation to Completion, with Mark Anthony K. Greetings, friends. Welcome to this week's segment. So we're going to be taking a look at guitar solos this week. Now, over here, you'll see in these blue channels here, or these tracks, are the guitar solo sections. Now you'll see solo 1, solo 2, 3, and 4, and actually the fourth one is just called guide lead for some reason. And that pink thing at the bottom here says solo bus, and that means that it's a master bus fader that controls the volumes of all those channels through that pink one, because I can control the volume of all of them with one fader on that pink channel there, which is very important. Now, sorry for moving around a little bit too much there. So let's take a listen to just the introductory solo here. Let me just zoom in a little bit here on this. Okay, let's just take a listen to this solo with just the two harmony guitars at the top alone. Okay, so there you have them by themselves. Now, what did I do to make that sound for the guitar solo? So I'll take you in a bit closer and let you see. So let me just mute the other harmony. This is just the one guitar now, the top one, the yellow one. Now, what did I do to that? Well, first I did this, which was I added this thing called Stomp 4. Yeah, Guitar Stomp 4, which is these pedals that I added to the sound. Now, if I just bypass that, where are you, Mr. Fader? There we go. Mr. Cursor, I mean. Now, if I bypass that, this is the sound of the guitar, which is a lot less exciting sounding. Now, if you unpause it, unbypass it, I mean, it definitely gives it a much bigger sound. Now what's on it? I have an axe press, which is basically a compressor, a doubler, and a tone pedal, which is basically an EQ pedal. Now if I was to play that back again, sorry, my finger keeps getting in there. If I play it back again, if I turn each of these off and play it, here's the sound without any of the pedals. Now if I add the express pedal, it becomes a bit louder. Now if I add the doubler, it gives it a kind of chorusing sound, and if I add the EQ, it gives it a bit more top end, which makes it, or helps it, cut through the mix better. Now, that's done on all these other ones here as well. Now, what I also do is, let me just shut this off here, I run it through my channel, my SSL channel strip. I cut off a little bit of low end, and I cut off some of the top high end, and it's just a little bit of trimming here and there, nothing too much, a little bit of compression, and that's about it for it. And now the other important thing that happens is that all those channels, because they essentially have the same things on them, run to the master bus, which is down here. Excuse me. And on the master bus, I have this very important plugin, which is the Chris Lord Aldi plugin, which is for guitars. Now it has bass, treble, compression, reverb, delay, and pitch shifting on it. Now I have them all on, but at various amounts here. Now if I play it again and adjust them, you'll see what happens. If I take it off, it's very unexciting, right? Now if I turn it on, and if I throw that other guitar in, so that essentially is adding all the delay, all the reverb, the extra compression, and some of that pitch shifting effect on there. Now if I play it back, and if I screw with the pitch shifting, for example, you'll see what happens. Watch. Here we go with the pitch shifting. Or if I add more delay. It can just go on and on and on and on. So basically that's what I do for the guitar solo section of the mixing. It's very simple, just a lot of little effect pedals and some compression. And this is the big part of it right here, because this is like a master brain that I add onto the overall sound of the guitar solos. And you see I like using reverb and delay and a little bit of that pitch phasing on there to get the sounds that I use. So there we go, and next week we're going to be taking a look at lead vocals. Whoa, it's going to be exciting. See you then. So there you go, a little look into how I do my guitar solo mixing. Some people are actually surprised that I use those kinds of like pedal plugins for it, but they work really, really well. They sound really good, and they do a great job in sculpting the sound just so to make it really jump out in a mix nicely, as you heard when I showed you those parts there. So next time it will be vocals coming up next, and that'll be interesting to show you how I approach doing things in that regard. Let me check my notes here. If there's anything that I'm missing here, I don't believe so. So without any more delay again, let's go over to the last of my guest interviews, and this one is a very cool one. I really enjoyed this one. It might seem like I'm a bit fanboyish in this. It's not that. It's just that I haven't talked to Billy in a long time, and it was really cool to finally catch up with him and chit chat a bit. So it kind of, it might seem like I'm being all fanboy, but I'm not. I've known Billy for a long time now, so we're pretty good friends now. I could say that, and I think it probably shows in the video as well. But anyways, enough chatting. Let's go over to my interview with the one and only Mr. Billy Sherwood of Yes, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so I'm very honored today to have a very well-respected bass player, or musician, let's just put it that way, in the progressive music community. Mr. Billy Sherwood is here with us today. Hello, Billy Sherwood.
Hey, man. How are you, brother?
Good, good. I'm very honored to have you on here. As a lot of the people who follow me online know, that I've been hyping up the fact that I've had some fantastic players on my record this time, and you being one of them. I've also had Mr. Lee Pomeroy as well on, who did a great job as well doing it, and I had a fantastic interview with you, and I'm sure this one with you is going to be no different. So let's get started with one of the questions I normally ask everybody, including Lee and everybody else I talk to, is the COVID thing. Obviously, it's affected everybody musically, this year. It's been a terrible thing. I'm hoping everything is good on your side. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Well, the whole world's going through this thing at the same pace, so we're all kind of in the same boat here, and hoping that we turn the corner soon at some point. I got to remain positive about these things, and we get back to some sort of normal that we're used to, and get back to playing music live and all those things that come with what we had all come to know as life as we knew it.
Yeah. I know, it is so strange not being able to go see shows and concerts whenever you want to go see them. I mean, here in Toronto, there's stuff happening all the time. And for it to go from lots of things to nothing, it's like, whoa, it was like a real shock.
Yeah, no, it's a real shock. So, I'm sure any musician you ask just can't wait for this to be over and we can kind of get on with it and start moving forward out of it, Can't last.
Yeah. No, it can't. That's one thing that's certain. It's going to have to break eventually. How long? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But with that said, you being a man of many skills and many trades, having this COVID thing happen obviously opened up another whole world, and that is the world of session stuff. So obviously you have, appeared on my stuff. You also did a record that I've really, really enjoyed this year, which was the Between the Stations record. I thought was amazing. Yeah. I really love that. I think it's going to be my pick for 2020 easily.
Oh, wow.
Cool. I really love that album. It's amazing. And even the one before it, I can't get that song. Man Who Died Two Times is just like an amazing song.
Yeah.
I really love that song. So it's incredible. And I just wanted to get to this question basically is how many sessions do you think you do roughly a year?
Wow, that's hard to calculate, but there are many, and they come in waves. There'll be a week where I'm playing on this and doing drum tracks over here and cutting a bass for this guy and playing a guitar overdub or singing something, and then it kind of cools down and then it comes back up again. So it's hard to judge, but I know that it's a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's always been that way for me though, because I enjoy helping people along, and in this age of file share, it's real easy for people to reach out and see if we can work together. And, I'm helping them along and in my way, do the best I can to up their ante a bit. And so it works out well for everybody, but it's something I've done my whole career is doing sessions. It's just now with COVID, the one thing that I have been doing that I never have before, which was, I was kind of thinking it'd be interesting to give some lessons. So I've actually been doing online lessons with people for bass, guitar, engineering, songwriting. You know, I've had many interesting sessions at this point with people just discussing how to arrange songs, and you know, they get writer's block. How do you get around writer's block? And you know, just that has been kind of interesting and new for me, and something that I enjoy doing now, and I've got time, so I'm enjoying doing that. But other than that, yeah, it's lots of sessions a year. Getting back to it.
That's fantastic. I mean, for those people who are watching, because I'm sure that as soon as you said this, a few ears probably went, whoa, he's doing lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How would people get a hold of you if they were interested in something like this?
Well, you could always email me, the number 4 and the word tune, like a song, at yahoo.com, or find me on my Facebook page, which if you say, you can send a message even if you're not a friend, quote unquote. You can still send me a message, and I'll get back to whomever. And you know, it's been kind of cool to see kids, young kids, like starting and having a basic fundamental issue, understanding of it, and then evolving, and they come back now. There's one dude we've been doing lessons for quite a while now, and he's starting to shred.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. So the lessons are working.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of, I'm not Steve Lukather on guitar, but I've learned enough to know how to give some basic fundamentals if you're looking to, just get some solid things under your fingers,
Yeah.
And same obviously with bass and drums. The only thing I don't do is drums because they're loud, and I don't really want to bother my girlfriend with banging drums right now.
Exactly. So that kind of leads me to the next question I was going to ask you is, for the sessions that you get asked, what do you think is the most instrument you get asked to do, like session work?
It's a toss-up really, because it's hard to say. I mean, I do a lot of bass, drums, and guitar. Keys would be probably one of the later down the road things, but I still do keys sessions for people all the time too. So it's kind of a well-balanced thing, which is kind of nice because it keeps me playing on, it keeps my drum chops up to do that. And, unless I'm recording something for myself or a project I'm producing, I'm not really sitting around practicing because I'm 55 years old now, and I'm not going to be doing that. I'd rather, I'm going to be in Quest before I'm going to be doing that. So it does keep me playing, and it keeps me on my toes, which is kind of cool. And it feels to me, as you ask, very evenly distributed in a strange kind of way. I'm always bouncing between those three mostly,
Great. So now I'm going to ask you a little bit about the song that I asked you to do really quickly.
Yeah.
So the song that I sent you was an instrumental track, and right off the bat, I got to say, you did an absolutely amazing job. One of the things that I really enjoyed about it was that you sent me 2 kinds of files. One was a mono track of your bass playing, and another was a really cool stereo track with this really nice sort of modulation that you put on it.
Yeah.
Was that something that you decided to do while listening to the song, or is this something that you normally sort of do when you track?
That's how I deliver files for people, because you never know what they're going to want to do. It's one thing if I'm mixing it, I record it the way I know I'm going to want it. I don't bother with the direct so much because I like that bass to have that thing. But for other people, I know they might want to do something, put it through an amp simulator, whatever. So I give them the direct. But the sound you're talking about, that is that beautiful thing, is a combination of a couple of line 6s that I use through a Behringer console that I've programmed, and it comes out. What that sound is from the same rig that I use when I'm working with Yes Live. It's all the sounds from Close to the Edge, a Relay, or Tormato. It's so I've got my palette together, and that line 6 really is a big part of it. Those two together, but it took quite a bit of programming to do that. But it's now it's just my rig, and that's how it comes out stereo, nice and beautiful. You just put 2 faders up and just pan them really hard left and right and let it go.
Exactly. I mean, when I got that and I put them up, that stereo one right away, I was like, I didn't even bother with my guitar tracks for so long. I was just listening to that. I was like, wow, this sounds really awesome. And it really has that kind of, Yes sound that I remember hearing you live when I saw you guys in Toronto and stuff like that. It has that sound to it, you know?
Well, Chris always had effects, you know. I mean, you, from the tremolo on Starship Trooper
Mm-hmm.
to the flanger on Tempest Fusion to the extreme wah-wah, auto-wah thing he had on Tormato.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what drew me into his world, was like, wow, check it out. This guy's got the nerve to put those on and leave them on. And
Yeah.
that became, you know, what I do now. I've been doing it forever anyway, but it's now acceptable because I'm in the right band for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's nice to have a palette like that to work with and those tones. And what I was going to say is with regards to your track, you know, I was listening to it here and before we did this, and it also provides a platform for when there's movement in the bass, you actually hear it happening.
Yes.
As opposed to kind of a muffled DI that just sort of sounds like someone put a carpet over it and you kind of lose the phrasing. This stuff with that rig, it's super articulate to get those things, you know, to come out.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was really happy about, because being an instrumental track, I mainly wanted to feature, you know, your bass playing, because this album is kind of one of these things. My gimmick with it was that I was having guest bass players, so I kind of wanted to feature them within the music. So the instrumental song is a great platform to do it, and you did some fantastic lines in there. I really enjoyed what you played in there. Now, do you prefer doing instrumental songs, or do you like more with songs with vocals?
You know, I don't really have a preference. I'm not. It's neither here nor there. It's really just about the groove and what the parts are, and you know, looking for some sort of magical application, even if it's you know, playing dun, 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 dun. There's a way to give it something more than that, and so I'm kind of always looking at it from that angle more than, you know, the only thing that a vocal does for me as a bass player, sort of on a compositional level, is I might be waiting and phrasing something around the vocal to see how that falls, as opposed to an instrumental thing where that isn't a factor. Yeah. So you know, you can get a little more busy in the bass department and get away with it, you know. Yeah,
and I mean, and that's true. I mean, what I liked about what you did is that there was parts where it was busy, but then there was also a few spots where you kind of backed off a bit and stuff, and it was just a great showing of dynamics on your part. So I really appreciate what you played.
Right on. Well, I'm sure we'll dig it when they hear it. The whole thing sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I got a question I'm interested to ask you about. You do so many albums and so many songs and stuff like that, and the brain being the ultimate hard drive, right? How many of these songs do you think you could actually remember? You know what I mean? Like if somebody came up to you and said, Billy, I want you to play me right now, if you pick up your guitar, Valley of the Windmill, would you be able to do it?
No, I mean, you know, I'm the worst at that. I'm great in the studio where that creative burst happens and that first grabbing of the instrument and playing something, and there's an accident involved that makes it cool that you wouldn't have thought about. All those things that go into those moments. But once that's recorded and I'm moving forward, it's sort of like I'm ditching the cache and it's, you know, emptying it to take on new things. So the only time that I go back is when I really need to learn it to play it live. Yeah. And so, for instance, you know, when we did the circus shows for a while, it was a lot of study to get back to where I was, especially when I started playing guitar with the band. You know, what had I done in the studio and how to knit it all together. So there's a lot of time that goes into relearning it. But off the cuff and, you know, no, I'm not really that guy. That's why I don't sit in with people. I'm not that guy. I can't do it.
You know what? That makes me feel so much better, because I'm exactly the same way. I could never do that. I mean, haven't done nearly as much as you, but even if somebody would have asked me to play something from my first Projekt Gemineye album, I would have to be really hard pressed to remember some of that stuff. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, yeah. So, a couple of little things and I'll let you go. Equipment wise, I know from a long time back, you were very big into using a big mixing console and stuff like that when you did your stuff. Are you still down that route, or you gone more to digital way?
In the studio, you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm down to a very minimalistic thing now because the plugins are so great, and you know, less is more these days, and I've got it down to a very minimalistic thing, to the point where my laptop Mac is a copy of what I have in my main studio. And, there's a few things. I was mixing records at 30,000 feet, while I was on the Yes tour, and headphones, and, so these days, yeah, it's so minimal, and I like it because it's where we are. And now I can't really remember how the hell I made an analog record, which I made plenty of. But it's like, oh my God, you mean we sat and waited for you to rewind the tape? You know what I mean? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, those kind of things come to mind when we start talking about the technology burst. But now it's just super simple. It's 2 speakers, a killer Mac with great plugins. And, I use Digital Performer. A lot of people use Pro Tools, but I've been a Digital Performer guy forever. And, that's it. And a lot of virtual stuff, virtual synths, virtual guitars. I use that IK Media stuff to death. I love that. Those plugins are great. And, the Line 6 stuff. And I'm off and running. Gone are the days of needing stuff. The only thing I still do is cut analog drums, which is becoming a little rare in its own way too. But, there's nothing like recording an analog drum set and getting that feeling on a record. It just takes a project to a completely different level when you get out of that drum machine thing that's very, consistent and perfect, and you put in some imperfection. All of a sudden music starts breathing a little. And so that's the only thing that I really and I don't do that here anymore. I used to do it here at my crib, but I go out for that and go to my buddy's studio and record there and bring them back home, bring the files home.
That's fantastic, because I remember back in the day where I was looking for some Yes stuff, and there was a really fantastic photo that you had put up of your track sheet for what's that song on the opening song on Open Your Eyes, New State of Mind. There was a track sheet of it, of the 24 track, and I was like, wow. I was like, I never thought I would find something like that, online. Wow. And I was always fascinated by seeing like how you guys tracked the songs. I mean, I guess that's one of the things that have changed now, because when you're doing digital, you don't need to write out all these track sheets and stuff like that as much anymore, right?
Thank God. Because my handwriting's the worst. I go back to track sheets I'd filled out years before and go, what the hell is that? We're going to have to just listen to that, because I can't tell you what it is,
Yeah.
So that's another advantage, yeah. But no, there's a lot of, analog versus digital. There's a huge conversation in there. But for me, digital is just where I live, because it's just, I can get the most out of my imagination using the digital format. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does things that are, human. You'd have to have 8 hands on a console to do what I'm doing in there.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's one of the things I would enjoy about digital now too, because believe it or not, I also was doing stuff on analog for a long time too. And I remember having to bring another friend in here. You take care of tracks 20 to 24. I'll take care of this here, and it was just a pain in the ass to do it. But this way you can just set stuff, save it, set this, automate this and that.
Well, that's part of why I can move along at such a swift pace, is because the recalls completely, I could work on something this morning, pull it up 2 weeks from now, and it's exactly where I left it, and off we go again. And so it's just, the whole world of audio changed, obviously, and it's it's just, here we are now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you one last question and let you go, my friend. I would be probably sent 100 emails from my listeners if I didn't ask you at least one little thing about Yes, and I promise it's nothing deep or anything like that. But obviously, Yes have now posted dates for the Relayer album show that you guys are planning to do in Europe,
yes.
Right? So have you guys have any plans of when you're going to maybe get together and start, like, not rehearsing, but maybe start talking about plans? Or
we usually wait until the last minute. So, I mean, I don't want to give away any state secrets here, but we kind of usually grab a couple of good weeks right before we go. So for now, it's kind of like too early to be, discussing it. We already know what we're going to do, because we were all rehearsing for that to go when all this craziness started. So I mean, I had Gates of Delirium in its entirety down. And, you know, God, it's going back to what we talked about. It's like that's been flushed. I can find it again. That's not a problem, but it's a time-consuming thing to do, to study on that kind of level where you got the microscope out and you're, finding things. But that said, we know what we're going to do. So it's just a matter of, okay, it's on and here we go. So, that's, I got my sights on that because I'm dying to play live again.
I can imagine.
Strange not to. It's, every now and then I'll catch a YouTube clip of us playing and it's like, oh, wow, remember what that was like? What was that like?
Yeah. And no kidding.
So, anyway.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm just going to end it by saying that I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that you guys do another North American run, because when I saw you guys for the Royal Affair Tour, it was fantastic, and I really hope you guys come back to Toronto with the Relayer show.
Right on, yeah. And the Royal Affair live CD just came out.
Yes, too. Yes. Which, of
out.
course, I have already, so fantastic.
All right, man. All right, Mark. Well, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Billy Sherwood, for appearing, and we'll catch up with you at another date.
Awesome, dude.
Okay, take care.
Take care, brother.
Bye. Bye. So there you go. A rather cool interview with Mr. Billy Sherwood. I think that it answered quite a few questions that I had, at least, about what happens with him and what happens or what is happening with him during the COVID stuff. And as you can tell, he's no different than anybody else in this world. He's been affected by it, but trying to do the best and make the best of the situation. Also, I forgot to mention, I guess you guys probably realized that I made a new intro to this channel. And I've decided that every time I release a new studio album, I will be changing up the introduction to the channel. So that won't happen again for a while, because the next album probably won't be for a little bit. Although there's going to be an EP coming up very soon. December 1st, I'm looking to drop the new Projekt Gemineye Christmas EP. It will most likely be 4 or 5 songs, and there will be 2 songs with vocals this time. Ooh, but don't expect any kind of, Santa Claus is coming to... It's not going to be anything like that. It is Christmas geared, but in a little bit more of a serious manner, I guess. You'll see. Just trust me. I think you guys will like it. In any case, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the studio segment, and I hope you enjoyed the interview with Billy Sherwood. That's it for the interviews with the guests, and from here on in, we are moving forward with things, and there's always lots happening in the world of Projekt Gemineye, and thank you for coming along for the ride. I really appreciate all your support, and yeah, that's it for now, my friends. Have a great night or day or whatever it is right now for you, and we will talk again very soon. Bye for now.